Hello, Kathy Beatty here with Divorce Support Anonymous, your group leader and your divorce coach. I want to talk about a topic that I know many of you are thinking about as you're going through divorce earlier probably than you should, and that is dating after divorce. Important topic. How many of you have I known who jump into the dating scene much too early? So let me talk about this. I understand your loneliness. I understand the want, the need for a relationship with someone else, physically, emotionally, spiritually. You want that intimacy so badly. Well, let me speak honestly to you. If you are recently going through a divorce or have just finished going through a divorce, you are not ready. Your head is not screwed on straight. How can I say that? Because I was there and I know exactly where you're at. So I want to give you 3 pointers about this topic. First of all, you've got to spend your energy going through the divorce and recently after the divorce, at least the first year or two, getting healed. You have got to be healed from this trauma. You know why? Because you're very vulnerable right now. Just like when we have a sore on our skin or we've just went through a traumatic surgery, we need time to heal because we are vulnerable. We're vulnerable to infection. We're vulnerable to pain, to getting hurt further. You're vulnerable as you go through this divorce. And until you work on your healing, you are not going to attract healthy people. So you can jump right now into the divorce scene, or I'm sorry, the dating scene, but who are you going to attract? You're going to attract people who can take advantage of you because you're not strong enough to identify the red flags, to know what's not healthy. You're going to hear words that you have longed to hear for maybe decades. And all of a sudden, someone comes along and tells you those words. That's my love language, so I'm going to pick on that one. And all of a sudden, you fall for that. You fall for it so hard that you don't see that he or she are terrible with money, that they take advantage of friends, that, the list goes on of negative traits you're not going to see because you're not healed. And you're not able to recognize those red flags. Oh, the stories I could tell you of the second divorces that people have gone through because they started dating and getting married before they were ready. I'll never forget one guy who came back after a group and he said, Kathy, I was so mad at you when you said, don't date. You're not ready to date. And so I dated. I went out and I dated. And then I saw the reason why you said that. Our conversations were not healthy. We were talking about our former spouses. We were talking about our pain instead of being strong enough to develop a new relationship. I get it now, he said. And I want you to get it before you find yourself in a situation that's going to further complicate your life. So number one, you've got to be healed before you are ready to go into a next healthy relationship. Secondly, you have to decide what you want. When you become healed, when you get through this and you work intentionally on your healing, you are going to hopefully go through a period where you are designing your life. And I hope that you're using my book, Building Your Future After Divorce, where we look at every segment of life and we determine what our new life declaration is, and we set out to build a new life. You need to decide what you want. Because if you don't go through this healing process and the determination of what you truly want, what God wants for you in your life, you're going to fall into these pits. You're going to be easily distracted. You're going to be taken down a detour that you don't need to go down. Time, folks, is short. You spent so many years in a negative relationship. You don't want to be distracted and detoured off of the beautiful course and plan that God has for you. So number 2, you have to decide what you want. And that means looking honestly at your past relationships and what it was that is no longer acceptable to you. Decide what you want. And that book right there is going to help you do that. Because it's going to talk about the finances, the clutter, the networking of friends, boundaries, all of it. It's going to give you opportunity to make that new life declaration that stands up and says, this is what I want for the rest of my life. And we're no longer going to be a reflex or live someone else's agenda. We're going to live the agenda that we feel we want and that God wants for us. Decide what you want. Point number 3, maybe, just maybe, the answer to your happiness and purpose and fulfillment is not in the next relationship. Maybe it's somewhere else. Maybe it's a work, it's a ministry, it's a travel, it's a business, it's forming a girlfriend group of, who knows, leading a group. It's a big world out there. It's a huge world. So if you think that your happiness is hinging upon finding that next relationship, you are really closing out a lot of opportunity. Now is a time to get healed, to define what it is that you want, and then to go after it. If the dating relationships come in the way or on the way to finding the purpose for the rest of your life, so be it. They will enrich you, but they cannot be your destination place. They can't be. Only God's will for your life should be the destination place, because that is where you're going to find the purpose, the fulfillment, and the calling on your life. So don't get distracted. As you go through divorce, you've got some work to do to get healed, to define what it is that you want. And number 3 is to decide the priority of the next relationship. Maybe it's not what you want at all. You want that fulfilled life. You want the fulfilled life, which is much more and much greater than any dating relationship that you could have. I hope that's of help. If you want to talk, let's chat. But please, if you're recently divorced or going through a divorce, as I know many of you do, jump into the relationship because you feel all the thrills, all the butterflies in the stomach, all those things that you haven't had in so long, like decades. And I get it. I totally get it. But in the long run, in the long term, in the big picture, it's going to distract you from the course that you need to be on, or it's going to distract you from the true healthy relationship that you have the potential of having. Kathy Beatty, Divorce Support Anonymous.